difference makers. Listen, let me tell you something. If you don't have your team on, you're going to miss it because today, I mean, as you already had the start, okay, we are two of the most powerful women, and I just talked about that. This next friend of mine, and I say friend because, guys, to know Lynn is to friend Lynn, and she is absolutely awesome. But our next, she's a mother, a grandmother. She is an author. She's owned multiple businesses. I love the auctioneer side of her, and you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about here in just a minute, because I used to do auctions and stuff. So I absolutely love her side of that. But let me tell you, more so, she is a powerhouse for Jesus. I absolutely love this lady, guys. I want you guys to give it up for Miss Lynn Gardner. Good morning, Miss Lynn. How are you this morning?
Oh, my goodness. Well, it get me teared up, too, just like Jenny. Good morning. Good morning, Wade. Good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Sam out there. And good morning to all you difference makers. You know, I tell you what, I love the scrolls. I read them every day, all year long. And I can agree with Wade that Jenny is the perfect one to read this morning's message. You know, Jenny, you have such a heart of passion, the perfect one to read it. It stirred me up, and I thank you for that. And it's no accident, by the way, that today I am nature's greatest miracle would be the reading. It goes right in line with what God has given me to share with you today. You know, we are unique creatures, aren't we? We have unique fingerprints and unique DNA and unique soul prints, and we have a unique journey with unique gifts. Amen. That'll excite anybody. You know, it's such an honor to be with you guys. Again, I don't know if I tell you that often enough, what a blessing it is for me to be able to be on this side of the call and to do my part, hopefully to bless you. And this is the first time that it hasn't felt like time has flown by since the last time we were together. It's like, you know, in fact, time seems to be kind of dragging on, doesn't it? It's just almost at a standstill in so many ways with this COVID-19 world of ours. You know, it seems so surreal right now, doesn't it? It can't make a whole lot of sense out of it, and we're not sure what's up, what's down, and we don't know when the coast is going to be clear or when we'll be back to our normal way of living. I can certainly speak for Virginia. We don't know anything with what we've got going on. You know, we had Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to all the moms out there just a few days ago. But most of us couldn't celebrate the way we normally do, right? And, of course, the same was true for Easter, the first time in our history that we couldn't celebrate the death and resurrection of the King of Kings inside our home church. But make no mistakes about it, guys. We are the church, okay? The buildings are just a convenient gathering place. You know, we are the church, and life is going on. I'm very blessed, I'll tell you what, to live where I live. There's no doubt about it. If you haven't been to the farm, you don't know what I'm talking about. But, you know, it's just as a blessing to live here. It's so beautiful. And when I step out onto that front porch, nature is always the same. The birds are singing, the squirrels and the rabbits are rustling here and there, you know, the deer are grazing all around me. Nothing at all has changed for them. And it's a blessing to see that for them. Life goes on. So nature and its non-reaction to our circumstances has inspired the message for you all today entitled, The Nature of Man or Beast. Nature is obviously, in our circumstances, you know, our nature is to not do so well when we don't know what's going on and we don't know what the future holds. You know, when we're seeing the nature of man right now with 20/20 vision, we're seeing it up close and personal. One of the reasons for that is that man can be so short-sighted. Unlike nature, they just flitting about. They don't worry about it, right? But man can be short-sighted, and man will rely on what they can see and feel in the moment. And when things get tough, they can't see much beyond the storm. Start scurrying around, right? But there's always sunshine, you know, beyond the storm. Joy always comes in the morning. And this isn't the first hard rodeo our country has ever seen. It's certainly not the first one for the living God. It all comes down to perspective, guys. It always has, and there's nothing new under the sun. You know, I did some teaching here as we entered this new year, basically looking at the Hebrew translation through, you know, numerology and symbols and that sort of thing for the year 2020. And its meaning of the year is a year of double blessings. No doubt some people have dismissed it already. That can't happen. We've got this COVID-19, the world's in turmoil, and they no longer believe in that concept of the double blessing. But that's just because we're on lockdown and we're struggling. That doesn't mean that there isn't a whole lot of double double blessing going on right now. I don't pretend to know the mind of God, but I can tell you this, I know his nature, and I know that when he wants to turn things around, when he wants to reset, if you will, to get the attention of his people, to prepare the heart, for blessings, to begin a new thing. How exciting is that? He will, he usually involves some sort of suffering in the process, mostly because it takes big things to stir up the nature and the heart of man. So instead of looking at our situation, like it's scary and hopeless and devastating, I'm giving thanks to the God of all creation for the double blessings that will come forth out of this storm, and you can bank on it. But it isn't easy, is it? The other day, I was on a Zoom call. I'm pretty much living on Zoom these days, right? And it was a great call, and I got up from my desk, and I went into the kitchen just to get some water, and I began to cry. It came out of nowhere. So bizarre. I was not consciously aware of anything. I wasn't, consciously thinking bad things or sad things or anything. Nothing had happened on the call. Nothing had been said that would make me cry. I just did. And you know what? It occurred to me that everything within me is missing that human touch, a hug, a smile in real time, right? Looking at somebody's eyes, within a couple of feet of me, all of those things we need as human beings. And I guess that part inside me manifested in tears completely out of my control. When I'm struggling, COVID-19 or not, there's only one person I turn to work it out. Should be that way anyway, but because I fly solo, it's just me and my God. So we got my heart in check in just a matter of minutes, and I was back in the groove. I'm hearing of bad moods and deep depression. These days, that 12 Steps to Climbing Out of the Dark Place book is coming in pretty handy, and I thank God for using that tiny little book to encourage hearts. Suicide rates are off the charts. I even heard from a friend just a couple of days ago whose pastor committed suicide. The spiritual war is raging, and unfortunately, in some ways, the enemy's getting an edge. We got to knock it off. Domestic violence reports are skyrocketing. I used to work with a abused women's shelter, and I was talking to them the other day. They're looking for overflow. They can't house all the women who are being beaten by men as they're secluded in their homes, and so is child abuse. The ugly side of the nature of man when life is off kilter. And then there's that toilet paper thing. I mean, who in the world? I'm convinced that one day there's going to be a documentary over the toilet paper phenomena. It's like crazy how shelves stayed emptied out for weeks during a time of a threat of a respiratory thing. It's so bizarre, right? I saw a commercial the other day. You may have seen it too. It was for Charmin toilet paper. And of course, if you follow commercials, there's one that usually have a family of bears, enjoying the softness of toilet paper, for heaven's sake. But this one, it had the feel of a Hallmark, commercial. The real soft music going on, very gentle kind of message. The makers of Charmin were reminding us that they're working really hard to give us what we need out there, right? And you know what? At the end of the commercial, they bragged about how they've donated $2 million toward the COVID-19 research. Well, I guess they have. They're making a fortune. But the whole toilet paper thing is typical of the nature of man too, believe it or not. I don't know what it is about this situation, but I find myself thinking about Moses leading the millions of people across the desert, a desolate land, right? And how difficult it must have been to keep order. And, here they are headed to the promised land, the land God promised to them, and led by a man handpicked by God Almighty himself. And that's a good thing, by the way, because it probably would have stoned him to death had they not believed God called him. But any sign of any challenge or any rules they didn't like, and Moses had to glue those people back together all over again. Didn't matter how many miracles they saw, he had to glue them together. And the same is true for us today. You see miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle, and one tragedy with the COVID-19, and all bets are off. We got to keep it glued together, folks. Remember, when God rained down manna from heaven, he had one rule, if you will. He just told his people, I'm going to give it to you every day. Don't hoard it up. Trust me to provide for you. And what did they do? They hoarded it up. The only exception to that was before the Sabbath, they could hoard a little bit more, so they wouldn't even have to work on a Sabbath. But no, that wasn't good enough. See, they didn't trust him enough. Are you trusting him enough? They were hoarding it up. But believe it or not, there are some psychological reasons for that toilet paper madness. And I'm going to share them with you because I think you can see some correlation in other areas. The reason number one is that people resort to extremes when they hear conflicting messages. Well, I'm going to tell you you something. There couldn't be more conflicting messages right now. That's the good and bad news of having the information highway, right? Where we can hear everything that, frankly, I can't even stomach looking at. But, they go into a panic when things are conflicting, when there's nobody out there telling them one message, right? The coronavirus scares people because it's new, and there's a lot about it that we still don't know. And when people hear those conflicting messages about the risk it might pose or how seriously they should prepare for it, they tend to resort to the extreme. And when they're told a dangerous thing is coming, you see it on a regional level, if you will, when a blizzard's coming our way. It's ridiculous how people will go in like they'll never get another loaf of bread. But that's the way they are when they're told something dangerous is coming, and all you need to do is wash your hands, for instance. And if that action doesn't seem like it's proportionate to the threat, they go in crazy overload. Well, some of us do that too. We're doing that in our business. We see it in business. Actually, on a everyday basis, we see it. When people have conflicting messages, don't drink alkaline water, it'll destroy your digestive system. Don't drink this, don't drink that. They hear all these conflicting messages, and unless we can keep them glued together with truth, they scurry off and do all kinds of weird stuff and buy things they shouldn't buy. Reason number 2, some are reacting to the lack of clear direction from officials. Well, I tell you something. We're looking out here in America, and we saw several companies that went into, mass quarantines, just like a third world country. It's crazy. People buying stuff, and, in Italy, it wasn't toilet paper, it was pasta, right? They were so afraid they'd never see it again. But unless people have seen or official promises that everyone is going to be taken care of, or, they're left to guess at the probability or what the end of the story might be, they go into panic mode. If not for clear direction coming from God through Moses, I can't begin to imagine the outcome for those millions of people headed toward wandering around the desert for 40 years, heading toward the land that was promised to them. Let me tell you something. As leaders, we need to be sure to be communicating to our people as surely as Moses communicated with his. Because when you leave people out there to their own thought process, they glue all kinds of negative things together. Unfortunately for us, we don't really have a strong corporate presence in the U.S., and information doesn't flow in such a time as this the way it probably should. So it's our job to keep that focus going, to reinforce the message, to reinforce what we stand for, to give updates. If there's a delay, for instance, a limit on how much enhancer you can buy, or when are the drops going to be back in stock, whatever it is, we need to work hard to be sure that we have a positive spin. Because when you leave people up, without clear direction, you can see what happens here in the coronavirus mess. Otherwise, the nature of man will presume all kinds of negative things, and you'll see a shock wave running through your business, the likes of which you've never seen before. So good communication, clear messages are what man needs for such a time as this. And reason number 3 is panic buying begets panic buying. I couldn't help myself. I started thinking about what would have happened, if what we were showing on the internet from one end of the earth to the other were empty shelves, no bottled water. Can you imagine if people went into that same kind of panic because there was no bottled water? Imagine couldn't keep up, right? Images of empty shelves and shopping carts piled high with supplies, went all over news and social media feeds, and people saw a panic, when they saw, oh my gosh, people are panicking, and I got to stand in line at the store, so as soon as the truck comes in, I can get my stuff, right? It caused a panic. And frankly, some of you guys out there have been feeding it, showing pictures of this and that, and, we think we're entertaining our friends out there, if you will, but we're actually adding salt to the wounds. All those photos of empty shelves may lead people to believe that they have to rush out, they have to get this, they have to get that, and what started as perceived scarcity has become an actual scarcity. We can't keep some things stocked in the store. And social media is a huge player in that whole coronavirus fear-mongering thing that's going on. And I hope that you're refraining from it. Guys, listen, we have a responsibility as Christians, as entrepreneurs, as decent human beings to do our part to soften the blow, if you will. And we do that on social media, being mindful of the message that we're sending out there. That just that little bit. Listen, I'm a pretty strong woman. I'm very strong in my faith, but I can't watch that stuff. I keep unfriending people like, okay, you can wallow in it all you want to, but I can't even see the headlines. It bothers me, right? So please be mindful that as a Christian, as a leader, as a citizen of this great country of ours, we can do our part to soften that blow a little bit. We got to, do something to do the right thing. In other words, and it's natural for people to want to over prepare. Again, we see that, when we look at a blizzard coming our way or a hurricane or whatever, where people want to over prepare, and that's what we're seeing as we see this corona thing go out on steroids. And last but not least is it's something when people go out and hoard like that, when they react like that, it allows some to feel a sense of control. At least there's something I can do. There's some way I can prepare for what I don't know is coming. So there really is, kind of a rational way of looking at an irrational act of hoarding and things like at such a time as this. And I think there are some messages in there for you as leaders and for me. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes, there's a time for everything. And so just as a reminder, I want to read it to you. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to hug and a time to refrain from hugging, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to give and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat, drink, and find satisfaction in their toil. This is a gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. God does it so that people will fear him. There's a time for everything, guys. This is just a season. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the country. It's not the end of your business. It's not the end of anything. It's just the way God rolls. It's human nature to succumb to circumstances, to struggle with the unknown and to become fearful. And again, you hear me say it so often. The Bible mentions fear 365 times. It's going to happen. We've got to get it in check when it does, but it's the nature of man. But it's the nature of the beast that understands, that trusts in the God of the universe to provide and protect. It's man that struggles with that from time to time. For those of you chomping for that double blessing 2020 year, let me tell you something, you can bank on it. God is doing a new thing as surely as I breathe. And the problem is most of us are walking through the journey more like those Israelites, whining on around every corner, ready to hide under the bed. And that's just the nature, right? As for me, I've never been busier. Ever in my entire career have I been busier than I am right now. Most of my days are spent in virtual meetings. I have captive audience, right? Where are they going to go? And these days, people are concerned about two things. Number one, money, not health, not having water, not any of that stuff. Number one on everybody's mind right now, sadly, is money. And number two is maintaining, sustaining, or regaining their health. So I'm giving the world a good dose of the importance of, of money, of making money, of having a side gig, if you will, of the bondage of debt and all the things that are wrapped around, because that's the fear point that people are struggling with. We have something for them. I'm talking money. I'm talking how to make it. I'm talking how to spend it. I'm talking about how to create wealth. And yes, even at such a time as this. Many of millionaires were born out of the Great Depression, so it has nothing to do with the outward circumstances, everything to do with your mission. And let me tell you, the world is hungry for answers right now. I was a part of a meeting just a couple of weeks ago. It was a 4-hour online training on a Saturday, okay? That probably, I don't know if we pulled that off if things were, quote, unquote, back to normal, but it was a 4-hour training talking about money, and 477 people showed up. Now, let me tell you something. That's a sign that they want to hear. So if you're still talking, saying the things that you want to say instead of what they need to hear, you're going to miss the boat right now. People want to hear about money. How could I make more of it? How could I work from home? How could I be sure this never happens happens again? They're looking for solutions there, right? And some of you are preaching the wrong solution. My agenda is always focus more on God things than business things. It always will be. God is first and foremost in my life, and then my family, and then my business. You know, I believe we're supposed to be good stewards of our body. I believe we're supposed to be good stewards of the planet, good stewards of our bank accounts. So I'm preaching the message the world needs to hear. But more than that, I know there's a double blessing just around the corner, and I am so busy serving the King of Kings like never before. Some of you may be inclined to be begging for its return. Oh, Lord, please just come back and get us out of this mess, right? In this mess we're in. But you know what? He won't come back until we've done our part. So if that's what you're longing for, I'd say it's time to roll up your sleeves and get busy doing what he's already told you need to do. So do you have the nature of man, or are you living with the nature of beast? Now, are you still celebrating life and trusting the Creator with all things, with everything? Or are you wringing your hands, watching the news, getting an overdose of toxicity out there, just not, you know, all that mixed message that causes a panic, blaming everyone, everything, every political leader for what God is actually allowing to happen so that He can do a new thing. You know, God doesn't make bad stuff happen. He allows stuff to happen, and He'll get the attention of His people no matter what it takes. As for your business, if you're struggling for now, it's time to see the circumstances for what they really are. You know, it's time to find the need and fill it. You know, guys, I love that quote, by the way, Norman Vincent Peale's, not, you know, when you know the power of positive thinking, and he's talking about find a need and fill it, right? You guys have heard me talk about a couple people in my life that I got to know very well through my auction business, very, very wealthy, one multimillionaire, one multi-billionaire. He could buy and sell Trump. And I will never forget, they're self-made in the real estate industry. That's how they made their fortune. And I'll never forget when the bubble burst, going to each one separately and saying, hey, if you were just starting out, you know, you're self-made, you did it in real estate, the world's falling apart, what would you do? And they both said the same thing. You've heard me say it before. They both said find a need and fill it, and then basically lather, rinse, repeat, right? Just find that need and fill it. But, you know, guys, life changes. The needs change. And right now we're in a season where people are more worried about money than they are about health. Sad but true. So isn't it interesting, again, that we would read, you know, the power of positive thinking, how to overcome, right, and that find a need and fill it is the prevailing message. People, you know, successful people, they understand that. You know, these guys that I talked about, if it wasn't real estate, it would have been anything. They would find a need, fill it, and lather, rinse, repeat, and that's what you need to do. In business, we always have to determine the need first. You know, again, what the world needs right now may not be what you're pushing. You know, you're still in love with maybe the health message, and I am too, by the way. I don't want to live without it. But, you know, if the world is scurrying around saying, oh, my gosh, I need more money, I need to be sure this doesn't happen again, you don't want to be talking about just investing in their health with technology. You want to be spending the business we have. In other words, you might be preaching that health message at a time when they're a lot more concerned about other things. And if that's what you're doing, it's time for you to adapt for such a time as this. It's time for you to start talking money. Listen, like it or not, accept it or not, I get in trouble for talking about money, okay? I don't apologize to you or anybody else, because I know the God that rained down manna from heaven, the God that rained down quail when the people got sick of it, could rain down gold, but He doesn't work that way. He works through His people. And so money is an important part of life, and it's an important part that I don't apologize for. But you know what? Don't turn to me. Turn to the other leaders that you see out there. You turn to the Romies. You turn to the Michelle Rayleys. You turn to the Cynthias. You turn to the Tamias. And what you'll see is that they didn't go out there pushing water. They went out there pushing the business. And that's why they are where they are. You got to talk what people need to hear. You know, my money talk these days is blended. It's very blended. I'm talking about multiple streams of income. I'm talking about working from home and how to use the money you already have to crush the debt you carry. And that's why 477 people showed up to hear what we had to say just a couple of weeks ago. Listen, an entrepreneur always needs to adapt, not react. We need to take on the nature of nature and stop thinking and wondering and running scared. You know, stop watching all that news. You know, I asked a friend of mine last night, Jeannie Moore. I said, she lives in Virginia, of course, and I'm saying, hey, when are we getting off lockdown? Neither one of us could answer because we've tuned out the news, right? And I'm looking to and celebrating the one who is doing a new thing in the back background of life that I couldn't begin to imagine. You know, in the book of Habakkuk says, God, you know, what are you up to? What are you doing? He said, tell me what you're doing. And God said, oh, I can't tell you what. If I told you, you wouldn't believe it. And that's what's working in the background, guys. There is a double blessing coming, but you won't reap the harvest unless you live more like your furry little friends and a deer out there and lose the nature of man, so inclined to be consumed by what we see or don't see with the human eye. Nature didn't change. It doesn't hoard up. It didn't go into a panic, but man sure has. So what's it going to be for you? You know, will you determine to trust and to keep offering solutions to a broken world? And let me tell you, actually, let me warn you, if you're sitting it out, if you're saying, well, I'm just going to wait, you know, it's going to get to change and we'll get off, life will get back to normal. If you're just sitting there idle, you know, if you put your business out there and said, I'm just not going to work it right now because I can't do this, can't do that, nobody wants this, nobody. Let me tell you something, when it does get back to normal, whatever that is for you, you're going to find yourself starting all over again. You can't afford to do that as an entrepreneur. What you do is you adapt and you change the language of what you have and you find that need and you fill it with the solutions that you have. You can find your success right now, even now, right? I'm living proof of that. I have never been busier in my entire life. But you know what? You won't find me in panic mode. You might find me crying at the kitchen sink for no good reason every once in a while, especially as long as you refrain hugs and people, right? But you won't find me in panic mode or with a lack of absolute certainty that big things, good things, new things are right around the corner. And that's what you have to cling to, folks. You know, I want to say before we open it up that some of you know that I have a course out there. It's called Living Larger, and it's so hard to define. I hope maybe somebody will pipe in, but, you know, it really is a game changer for the people who participated because we talk about, you know, how it doesn't matter what area of life you want to build, from your personal life to your spiritual life to your business life. The techniques, if you will, are all the same. We need to learn how to influence people, how to speak to people, and then after that, how to reach the masses. Well, anyway, what I'm getting at is I'm coming up with a 1-month program. It's just going to be 4 weeks. It's going to be absolutely free, and I'm just going to piece together the highlights of the, you know, the bigger program that we have, so that you can, you know, participate in it. You can see that God has bigger things for you, and you'll understand. The lights will go on, and you'll say, "Oh my goodness, I never looked at it that way." It's a game changer. Okay, so it's just going to be a month long, so you're not going to get the full program, but it will be for 4 weeks. I'm probably going to do it on a Saturday. It'll be absolutely free for you. So that's my gift to you, to try to wake you up so that you can look how God is doing a new thing and you're going to know how to work it. So if you want information on that, just email me. I'll have to direct you after I upload it to my website where the courses are, but you'll email me, and the email address is Lynn@livinglarger.life. So I hope you'll be joining. Just to forewarn you, though, when you come into the program, you got to commit, okay? It's going to be 4 separate sessions, 4 live calls, right? But you have to commit to it. I'm going to commit to you, and you have to commit to me. So that's it for me, guys.
Wow. My hand was still catch up. Lynn, that is, give me that email again, Lynn@livinglarger.life.
Yes.
Excellent. You know, you always bring the most timely messages, Lynn. I mean, it is so good. Guys, I hope, man, if you were listening at all, Lynn is so right. We are busier now. Our business, mine and my wife's business, is busier right now than any time we've ever been in business for the last 10 years. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. And we are focusing, we're shifting all of our focus right now to how do we help all those people who already have ATM machines on their counter. And
right.
And I hope that you guys understand what I'm saying when I say ATM machine. Listen, they already have a machine. It's already sitting on their counter. It's an automatic teller machine. All you have to do is pull on it, and it will spit out money.
That's right. It's so true. It's so true. But you guys have adapted to, you know, whatever change, you know, that's what entrepreneurs do. And frankly, guys, that's what people of faith should be doing too. And it's all on how you're looking at life. God's got a new thing going, and we're sitting here, at least two of us on this line, saying we have never been busier. But I'm seeing people just sitting back idle. This will pass. When it does, I'll come out of my coma. Let me tell you something, guys. You're missing not only an opportunity to build your business, but you're missing an opportunity to serve the living God. You got to get out of that.
Amen. Man, that's so good. Well, listen, we do got a couple hands up, so let's go to a couple of our difference makers. Let's go to Miss Cherie. Good morning, Miss Cherie. How are you this morning?
Hi, good morning. Wow, Len, that was a fabulous message. And I just want to make sure, because I'm fixing to get really busy. Did you say that this is going to be free for a month, a Living Larger course for 1 month?
Yes, Cherie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the highlights out of all the modules, just the highlights, and do a 4-week program free, just to get people, hopefully, please God, to get them to wake up. So yeah, absolutely free for 1 month.
That is amazing. Guys, I've been taking this course, and Earl's been taking this course, and at least 20 members of our team have taken and are taking the course. And this is going to change your life. So you have to be coachable. So ask yourself, everyone on this Difference Maker call, because this is life changing. Are you teachable? Are you coachable? And if you are, I don't know if you have a limit on those enrollees, Len, but y'all need to sign up today. So this is so awesome. Thank you so much, Len. That's beautiful.
Oh, Cherie, you're such a blessing to me, you and Earl and your whole team. I'm so blessed to have so many of you on that call and walking through this journey of life, and then we go off to church, right? We go into church on Sunday afternoons, and it's just a beautiful thing. But yeah, guys, listen, it's hard for me. I don't like to talk about it. I don't want everyone to sound like I'm being arrogant or boastful or anything else. But God gave me that course, and that course is a game changer, okay? And when you go into the course, of course, that's the students, if you decided you wanted to pursue it, for instance, it's a lifetime thing. So people are repeating this class. They're not paying again. They're just repeating the class because we're on the same journey in this life. That's my commitment to the people coming into it. So I just, I've been praying about it, thinking, wow, I just want more people to get it. And it's not the time to be saying, spend money necessarily, although plenty of you are spending money on something in the business. But I thought I'm just going to give a month and just pray over that month. But again, guys, don't you be telling me you're going to join me for a month and come in once and don't come back, okay? You have to make the commitment. I'll make the commitment to you, and I guarantee you, at least a light will go on. You won't get the full benefit of the full course, but you will definitely be looking at things differently.
Man.
That's for sure. Well, thank you.
Excellent.
You're welcome. Thank you for blessing me.
Yeah, I'm so glad, Cherie, that you brought that back up. And, Len, you're so right. Listen, guys, we're not looking for people to just come on once, right? We're looking for people who actually truly want to make a change, who want to make a change in this world and who want to make a change in their own lives. And, Len, I know that your heart pours into this completely. And so I thank you personally for you reaching out and giving this availability to difference makers all over the world. I am just in awe of you in so many different ways, and I thank you so much for all that you pour into difference makers.
Goodness. It's a God thing. But, I want to go back to what Cherie was saying, that there are no limitations. We do a live call through Zoom, and I don't have restrictions on the numbers. So if you guys are listening in, you share it with your team, make the commitment, do it together. Again, it's probably going to be on a Saturday to try to ease it up for myself and for you guys. But Wade, it's a God thing. Okay, so thank you for your compliments. But, I'm driven by what he has me do, and I just knew yesterday, I said, I got to do this. I got to bless him. I got to get him in here.
And that's so good, guys. If you'll pour out what God gives you, He'll give you more. And Lynn, what a great example you are.
He will.
That's right. You can't outfill what the Lord has. All right, we got a few more.
You can't.
That's right. Let's go to Miss Debbie. Good morning, Debbie. How are you?
Good morning. I assume you're referring to this Debbie.
Yes, ma'am. We are.
Thank you, Lynn.
Georgia Peach.
Yes, you're Georgia Peach. I didn't get to sign on this morning. your message this morning is always so powerful and always so timely, and steps on toes a lot for us, but yet also very, very encouraging. And one of the things that kind of brought up to my mind was that when you began to, toward the end, when you talk about adapt and not react, there's a book that was written a while back. I'm sure we have a copy of it somewhere in the house, but it was basically Who Moved the Cheese? And a lot of you will recognize that title. But basically, if we're not flowing with it, if we're not adapting to it, then when it's all over, we'll be left behind. And we don't want to be the left behinders.
No, we don't. That's so powerful. Thank you for that, Debbie. No, it's so powerful. You're right, and that's what, unfortunately, hey, listen, that was, just a little bit funny there talking about toilet paper, but it's true. The reaction of man is the reaction of man. And listen, we can't afford to get in that mode. And one of the things that we talk about, in the class, for instance, is stop saying what you want to say and start saying what people need to hear. That's true in your personal life. It's true in your spiritual life when you're witnessing to a lost world, and it's true in business. But we're out there just speaking, and then when we can't, the message isn't being heard because of our circumstances, then we're sitting back and we're going to get left behind, just like you said. We can't afford to do that.
That's so good. Excellent, Debbie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, honey.
When you was talking about the toilet paper, it really cracked me up because me and my wife were in Hawaii when this toilet paper pandemic went on. And we're sitting in a local restaurant, speaking to some people, some native people and stuff, and we were eating dinner, and it was and the TV's on, and it actually, what's really funny is it showed Colorado. So it showed Colorado on the TV screen, and all these people had toilet paper in their carts, and this guy, one of the guys there, he turns around and he goes, hey, those people, don't they know if he said they don't have any food in those carts, and we're like, yeah, we're going, what's going on? Because we're like, we're just like, life is life, we're just going on. And he says, don't they know if they don't have no food, they don't need no toilet paper?
That's hilarious. That's so true.
It's
so true.
It was so good. It was so funny. All right, we got a couple more hands up. Let's go to, looks like Dina. Good morning, Dina. How are you? I hope I got that right. So Porcher, 8727 is the last four. Maybe it's, there you are. Oh, you muted yourself. Let me put you back on. Are you there? Hello? Okay, all right. Well, we can't get that one. Let's go to Mr. Michael Johnson. Good morning, Michael. How are you this morning?
I'm just fine, Wade, and absolutely fantastic. Good morning, Miss Lynn. Good
morning.
Again, you just hit the nail on the head as you always do. Every time she speaks, I have to wear steel-toed shoes because she's stomping all over my feet, and gives me a wake-up call. But I mean, and anybody that's talking about this course that she's going to do for 4 weeks, if you don't take it, you've got to be out of your mind. I mean, just imagine the opportunity you have for 4 weeks in a row to get training that you would never get anywhere else, and you're going to get it for nothing. And one of the biggest things I think, and I've been taking her courses for a while, but one of the things that she said to us one week, and I hope I'm not talking out of school here, but she said, how did it come to be? That's one of the questions you should be asking people. Not why this or why that, but how did it come to be that you're in this situation? How did it come to be that your finances are the way they are? How did it come to be that because it's coming at them from a whole different angle. Because you usually get people to ask them a question, they're going to give you a yes or no answer if they can give you a yes or no answer. But if you ask them, how did it come to be that you're in this situation, they've got to stop and think about it.
They do.
And they've got to realize where that came from, and then they've got to react to it, and then they're going to tell you why, which they might not have told you otherwise. But, just for one nugget like that, the course for free, I mean, you'd pay money to get that. So,
yeah.
Thanks, Lynn, for everything that you do and everything that you teach us all the time. You are just awesome. I know it's God's words and God's putting them in your head and all that kind of stuff, but it's just your presentation and giving us the wake-up call every week when we need it. Every week when we need it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. It's such a blessing. You know, everything I do, I'm so much more blessed than anybody could ever be because I'm doing what God wants me to do. And so, you know, it's just my greatest joy, right? But yeah, I want to elaborate on that for just a second because, you know, it's funny. The course itself has modules, a little worksheet, kind of stuff like that, and then it has a live call once a week. So we're out there. I'm doing basically coaching, but I'm not scripted, you know. So we have a couple of slides that go through just to get our conversation going, and then, you know, we just start having this coaching call, but it's not scripted. And so every once in a while something comes out. This time, you know, or last week or a week or two, whatever, it was asking that question, the most powerful question you can ask in any area of your life. I've been asking that same question. I don't know where it came from except from God, and I asked that same question in every area of my life. I gave an example in the class of, you know, talking to this, it was a daughter of a friend of mine, and she was messed up, okay? She was doing drugs. She was cutting herself. She had, you know, just dressed like a prostitute. I mean, it was just so sad. And I sat down to talk with her. Now, you know, her guard goes up, right, because I'm old. She's young. She pretty much is preparing herself with what's coming. And so I said to her, honey, how did it come to be that you would find your life where it is today? And I just stopped, and I looked at her, and she burst out crying. She was expecting me to say, why is your skirt so short? Why are you tattooing yourself? Why don't you behave yourself? But in just a very gentle voice, I said, how did it come to be that you find your life where it is today? When you do that for your business, how did it come to be that you find yourself struggling with these health issues? How did it come to be? When you ask that question, guys, it is a game changer for every area of your life. You got to. Now, this is the business side of coaching, right? You have to ask it with gentleness, right? You have to slow down, and you have to be willing to shut up when you finish asking that question. But that question penetrates the heart because it requires you to think about your role in how it came to be. You can't get around it, right? So when you don't say, why are you doing that, or what's up with that, or whatever question you normally ask, if you just say, how did it come to be, you're forcing that person to think about their role and where they are. Put that into your vocabulary, folks. It's a game changer. But anyway, so what I was getting at is because it's not scripted, you know, it just came out, and I hear from people say, wait a minute, I took that class last time, and you never said that. Well, because God, that's the way God rolls, guys. And I had to laugh so hard about, we had Alvin and Cindy on the call, and they were saying, man, the nuggets you get on this call are like worth gold. I pray. My prayer is that I will bless you for those 4 weeks, and again, I've got to put it together on my website so that it's not the whole course, right? It's just the 4 weeks. Email me, Len@livinglarger.life. But you, again, I'm going to commit to you. You got to commit to me and give me 4 weeks. Thank you, Michael.
Man, that is so good. So listen, guys, we're hitting to the top of the hour, and I know Len never likes really talking about herself, but she is an amazing, amazing, accomplished author, along with all this training and everything that she puts out. So let's talk just a little bit about that, Miss Lynn. How can people get a hold of the books that you've written? We have Toilets, Taps, and Trash. We have Walking on Water, 12 Steps Climbing Out of the Dark Place. How can people get a hold of these books? How can people get a hold of you, that other side of you, that business side of you?
Okay, well, first of all, I have to laugh because every time I hear people stumble over toilets, taps, and trash, I think they need to go to auction school. It just doesn't come out, does it? So toilets, taps, and trash. You can find any of the books on Amazon. I don't handle the books. I just purchase some for myself to give away like peanuts, but you can go to Amazon. So you'd want to, put in my name, and Len Gardner, and then one of the titles. It's easy to remember, Walking on Water. And when you click on the title, you'll see all the books there. I'd say order them through Amazon, and you can get them on Kindle. And by the way, if you want to read them online, you don't need to own a device for that, a Kindle. You can read it on your computer, on your smartphone, or on your a tablet or whatever. whatever. So go to Amazon, you'll find all the titles there. Unfortunately, God has I've been wrestling with something. I haven't released the next book. It's ready to release, but I'm holding back because right now I'm going out and preaching about money. So there's going to be a book out there pretty soon, talking to people about the bondage of debt and how we need to get on with it and get rid of it, right? So I'm pretty excited about that. We are, scheduled for the event. October 9th, 10th, and 11th. It's a game changer event. I wept the other day. I don't remember what I wrote, something online, and somebody who came to the farm last year said it changed their life. We prayed over some things, and a miracle happened in her life. And it's a big deal. Now you will get quality training there too. But anyway, in Virginia, we're scheduling, we're planning, we just don't know what the future holds. So I'm just praying the coast is clear and this farm is filled up in October.
Amen. Okay, so how do people find out about your farm event? Because this is an amazing event. I mean, what you was just talking about, me and my wife were there. Oh, I mean, I'm telling you, this is an event of events. And so how do people get tied in?
There's really no way to describe it, is there, Wade? I mean, you talked about it, Forever finally showed up, and it's like, aha. There's no way. You just got to get here, okay? If you don't like it, don't ever come back, but you got to get here and see for yourself. You know what, to be honest with you, everything that I do can really be linked or found on my website, and that is livinglarger.life. livinglarger.life. And otherwise, if you want to see photos and history of the event and everything, that would be at livingwatersfarmevent.com. But, everything gets pretty simple on the site. You can find your way to the books or the class or the event or anything online.
Excellent. That's perfect. Well, man, Lynn, you have outdone yourself again. You're absolutely amazing. We love you so much. We appreciate all that you do. Like I said, all that you pour out for Difference Makers. Guys, 4 weeks of this course is going to be a game changer for you, but it's going to introduce you to life, and to life more abundantly. I do believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that God pours into this vessel because this vessel pours out to you. And I just thank you so much, Lynn. You are one of my favorite calls each and every month, and I've told you that I know almost every time that we talk. But I truly, truly mean that. You are a blessing beyond blessings to each and every one of us Difference Makers. And, guys, I'm going to open up the call. We've hit the top of the hour. I want to open up the call for everybody to thank Lynn for being here and being that godly woman that she is.
Well, thank you for the honor, Wade. And you're my brother in the Lord. I love you and Gina so much. And believe me, I'm much more blessed on this side of the call than you guys could ever be. So thank you for that honor to serve you today.